Let's talk hydration. See, I carry something to drink with me every single place that I go because I am concerned about being dehydrated. It runs in the family. Everything from dry mouth, dizzy spells, fainting. It's pretty serious. And I've tried all the different types of waters and sports drinks. Let me tell you something right now. Liquid IV. That has been the most efficient at keeping me hydrated and doing so pretty quickly. Okay, Liquid IV has 5 essential vitamins and is 2 times faster at keeping you hydrated than water alone. And I'm serious, man. Everything from vitamin C to vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12. Liquid IV also is non-GMO, so it's free from gluten, dairy, soy. So for all you folks out there with food allergies, this may be right up your alley. And I know what you're thinking, but how does it taste, Duke? Well, it tastes pretty good. Okay, we're talking my favorite in pina colada. They also have tropical punch, strawberry, new flavors like sea berry and strawberry lemonade. You can enjoy this stuff, man. But don't take my word for it. I want you to stop what you're doing right now and head over to liquidiv.com. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin so you get 20% off your entire order. I mean, anything that you order on liquidiv.com. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to shop better hydration today. Use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin over at liquidiv.com. Save yourself 20%. Stay hydrated. Most importantly, enjoy life. That's right.
Locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hello, this is Jeremy Gomez, formerly known as Mr. Gomez, and soon to be AKA again as Mr. Gomez, I guess, for sake of the wrestling world. And you are listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
The return of one of our favorite guests, I mean, legitimately a guy that we've been documenting for years. There's just something about these Florida folks, man. I cannot let go of them. They are legitimately my family. Okay, and that's why it's always a pleasure to have them on. It's always love. So, once again, the return of the head honcho at GCW, Mr. Jeremy Gomez. What's going on there, Gomez?
My friend, it's good to talk to you again, and thank you for having me on the show. Going forward, and not so much going forward as I've been trying to do it most of the career. We really would rather be known as Generation Championship Wrestling, and not so much GCW. Game Changers kind of claim the acronym, and it's kind of hard on some people to differentiate acronyms. And even though Georgia Championship Wrestling was a thing well longer than any of us, they've earned the GCW, and we try to keep it Generation Championship Wrestling. As I told you, we're going to pimp name slick back that thing. Yes, please say the whole name each and every time. Thank you.
Okay, so listen.
Or you can nod and just tell me to go screw myself, but it'd be nice.
Well, who am I to tell you what your name is? So, of course, whatever you say your name, that's what I'm going to call you. But I wonder, how the hell am I going to chant Generation Championship Wrestling?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay. In these instances, you're allowed to say GC Dub. Okay. We're going to go with the GC Dub because who the fuck isn't an ECW fan? Like a real ECW fan. So just go with the GC Dub. Okay.
I love it.
I think they chant for like death and shit like that at their shows anyway. So I don't know.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. Yeah. Well, listen, I got to say, because you came on this show and you announced that Generation Championship Wrestling would cease operations immediately.
I didn't just do that, man. I came on the show and tried to burn every bridge in the fucking industry that I had.
Sure. Which, there was definitely a response to it. But people, I got to be honest with you, though, the response was not the negative backlash that I expected. And certainly you've gotten negative backlash before coming on the show. But the response was more like, He's coming back. Get the hell out of here. Come
Only a matter of
on.
time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So
Once
people,
in, never out.
yeah, exactly. So people were kind of taking bets of how long it was going to take before you got the itch
It's
and
been
you
a
decided
while.
to come back and start promoting again.
It'll be 2 years when we actually do. It'll be 1 month under 2 years when we actually do the show.
Which is a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time not to promote, especially for a guy like yourself who you were pretty consistent, and even through the pandemic, you folks were still doing things to keep the brand alive.
And we probably shouldn't have. We probably just should have braked, and the brand probably wouldn't have taken time off for 2 years. But yeah, people needed a little bit of normalcy.
So here's the thing, and we touched upon it a little bit the last time you were on the show. We kind of joked about it, but it's a pretty serious thing, and I want folks listening to really wrap your heads around this. Thank goodness we have a lot of newer guests. Certainly, listeners, I should say. Certainly, we have our diehards who've been with us throughout the years, so they've heard you on the show and the progression of you and Generation Championship Wrestling, of course. But there are a lot of newer listeners because we continue to grow.
Sure.
This guy, Jeremy Gomez, the person who is the owner and operator of Generation Championship Wrestling, legitimately is one of the most influential people in pro wrestling, especially of the last 7 years. And I'm going to say that and stand on that firm,
Thank
Gomez.
you. Thank you. Man.
I'm going to say that and stand on that firm. And here's why I say that, folks. When you turn on pro wrestling, especially on television, or you go to your streaming sites, and when you see women's wrestling in particular, a lot of these names, and especially these young and quote unquote up and comers, these who's that? Oh my goodness, she's amazing, and blah, blah. They got their start with Gomez. Somehow, some way, he booked them. He made the populace aware that they existed, and it was the big time promotions that focused on what Gomez was doing, and then they essentially incorporated how he was booking some of these talents into their own thing. Now, successfully in some places and not so successfully in other places. AEW is a prime example of taking some of the top talent from Generation Championship Wrestling and really running them in the ground, because I don't know why, quite frankly. It's kind of ridiculous because these talents, fans are responding to them and clearly like them. But it's clear that you have essentially booked the women's division, a good portion of it, for the big promotions over the past couple of years, Gomez. Is that a fair thing to say?
It would be fair if you included that at least half, if not more of that was Robyn. It was Robyn Reid.
Shout out to Robyn Reid. That's a great call out. Yep.
I guess you could say I had. Well, I did book them, and I did bring in a lot of girls that I like. A lot of them, Aminata, Sky Blue, people like that. But at some point, I did make the decision that Robyn Reid would be better at booking a women's division than any man booking a women's division. So I'll take credit with knowing how to do my job. Was not always me doing my job, that I needed some smart people around me. So at least 50% of the credit is Robyn's, man. At least, yeah, which, and I've told you before, she's awesome. And Robyn and me would always talk about what we were doing, but we made some very good decisions with some very good workers, and anywhere Robyn is, she's going to make those good decisions. And, so I take, I'll take half the credit, but I can't take all the credit, man. I can't.
Well, here's the thing. If we were to look at Generation Championship Wrestling cards, over the life of the company, and then we look at who's on TV today.
There's a lot.
It's a lot. Who's topping the ticket in different promotions, whether they be all women's promotions or not, but they have women's matches. It's a lot. I mean, I can turn on Title Match Wrestling and I can see a best of Generation Championship Wrestling, basically, when I look at who's wrestling on these cards.
Oh yeah, and you can look at our Diamond Division, both our Diamond Division tournaments, and that's all. That's close to all of them, man. It's close to all of them. Most of the ladies that run our Diamond Division tournaments are blowing up the scene.
Absolutely. They're the next generation right now.
Sky, Deanna Perrazzo, Willow Nightingale, Aminata, who's on injury leave right now. She's also part of AEW. Let me think. Roxy, who is what's her name now? What's Carla's name in WWE?
Roxanne.
Roxanne, thank you, Roxanne. Man, I could keep going. It's a lot of them, man.
Oh, JC James, weren't you booking her at one point as well?
Yeah. And brother, it's a lot. There's a couple. It would be hard to find girls on the Diamond Cup tournament shows that aren't blowing up right now. That would be harder to do.
Well, and this is the interesting part about that, though, because
it stretched beyond into our women's division. I'll take that. Let me tell you what I will take credit for. I will take credit for being the promoter that was like, listen, if we have 5 men's matches on the card, we're going to have 5 women's matches on the card. I will take credit for being the promoter that's like, okay, look, we're doing our WrestleMania weekend in Tampa when WrestleMania is down the street. My WrestleMania show is going to have the women main eventing. I'll take credit for wanting women's wrestling to matter, especially in the state of Florida. And I will take credit for bringing Robyn in to help that, and I will take credit for pushing the women's division, and I'll always do that. And now in our company, I'm not even sure we're going to have a women's division. I want my women working the men because it's entertainment and they can do it. So why aren't they doing it? So, and I know not everybody likes that. Matches where men are working the women and they don't think it's believable. Well, guess what? A lot of my women will kick the hell out of a lot of our guys. So it's pretty believable to me. So there's things I'll take credit for, man. I appreciate you bringing it up. I just want I want all of them to succeed. Generation Championship Wrestling. I used to think of it as I want this to be a big company competing. In the last 2 years, I've changed to the point where I don't care if I compete. I just want to do good shows like I always wanted to, but I want everybody else to get over, and I want it to be fun. I don't think it's going to be a job for me this time. I just want to have fun and put out good products so everybody has fun, and that's my goal. If we make money, oh well. In the past 2 years, things have changed dramatically for my other companies. Not that they weren't already good, but they're really good now, so I'm not going to be the 1 millionth indie promoter to try to get over monetarily. Oh, we're going to make money, and we're not, and I don't care. It's cool.
You just said a lot there that I got to unpack because let me start with this.
You better learn to. Better than to let me keep talking. Cut me off.
Well, listen, man, you're a soundbite machine. I love it.
Thank you.
But let me start with this,
please.
I'm going to give you credit for another thing. And I'm gonna take credit as being one of the first to literally let you know it was okay to say it out loud.
Yeah, you probably were actually.
If
not the only one.
You were one of the few promoters, if not the first, in this generation to consistently book people of color and make it part of the makeup of the promotion.
As well, it should be.
No one ever had to question that. It's always been part of what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine that. Treat people as equals.
Imagine that, right? And just like you said with the women, same thing. Putting women in the main event because they were the ones drawing, they were the ones getting it done, and it's like, well, why not? Why not have just as many women's matches as men's matches? Why not put an emphasis on this and developing? So you're investing in developing, in these stars.
Imagine that,
right?
Imagine that, Tony.
So exactly. Well,
Go ahead.
This is the argument that I always make with Tony Khan, and I've actually directly said to him, look at what Generation Championship Wrestling is doing. Which now I realize, I wonder if I kind of.
That's okay. Good.
You may have to blame me for what he did. He did more than look. He just bought all your talent out. I mean,
if he's paying those girls, then I'm glad he did, man. If he's paying them well, I hope so. And he doesn't keep them from working with me. So
no, exactly. Which thank goodness for that.
Thank you.
But it's interesting because
all wrestling aside, thank you.
you definitely have been an innovator in the way that you have focused on delivering on what pro wrestling really should be, especially in the modern era. It doesn't have to be what we used to know of it,
And it won't. I don't think it ever will be again. So hopefully, as you know, I've got a beautiful wife and I got 2 beautiful daughters, and I wouldn't be a very good dad if I, didn't, try to help. You know what I mean? It just, me being a me being a chauvinistic pig would not be the right way to go, man. So I got to do things equally for everybody, and I got to help anywhere I can. So, and that's it's not really hard. It kind of comes natural. So, treating people as equals. So that's cool. It's not like it's hard work.
I talk to all the talent, so I get to hear people's perspective on everybody.
Oh God!
And I can honestly say I've never heard from any of the women wrestlers that Gomez was a creep or a jerk or anything like that.
No, I can promise you won't ever hear that shit. I can promise you that, brother.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because I would have heard it by now.
Plus, I got a lot of badass workers around me, man. Could you imagine me doing something rude to like a woman and Amanada catching me say something like that, man? She'd kick the shit out of me.
She'd stretch you. Yeah,
no, man, exactly, man. And on top of that, my wife would beat my ass, dude. So, and my daughters are getting old too, and one of them's almost my height now. So, dude, that's respect. It's just the way it is, man. There's got to be equality in the workforce, man, top to bottom, like respect wise, also. So that's the way it is, and that's the way it'll always be with my company. If anybody has anything different to say about that, I'm all willing to hear it.
So you're coming back, and you're going to be promoting again.
Yeah,
the company's back.
Yeah.
So we're in a situation now where you took 2 years off to recharge your batteries. By the time that the actual show starts, like you said, it'll be 2 years. So you recharge your batteries. You got a chance to take a step back, take a look at what worked, what didn't work, and have a better understanding of why you're doing this. And like you said, you want to have some fun.
Yeah.
Because you've already proven that you can pull it off, that you can make stars, that you can help people reach the next level and therefore make some big money for themselves and their families. You've already proven that you're a person that can help people achieve their dreams.
Hopefully. Thank you, by the way.
So you're coming back with fresh eyes, but also with that historical information, with that data. Like, yeah, I did it. I'm a person who can do this thing.
Right.
So my question to you, Gomez, what's going to be different about Generation Championship Wrestling going forward, if there's going to be a difference? I mean, you could just stay the same and continue to accomplish what you have, which I think you could, but what's going to be different, if anything?
Well, first off, I know we rub about at the beginning of the show, GCW, blah, blah, blah. I know I said I didn't care about them a lot, but at the end, it was their bullshit was starting to drag on me, and I was starting to care about it, and having 2 years off, I don't care about it. I just want those people in Game Changer to get over and make money, and if they want to rib on us, that's fine. It's okay, man. It's no big deal. I'm not their competition. Cool. Thanks for the acknowledgement. But other than that, I don't want to take it so serious that it just drags on me and everything going on. I know I promote my ass off, but things really do get to me after a while. I want it to be a place where it's not so much. It was starting to get a lot about my feelings and my ego at the end, and just my depression about the wrestling business and stuff. And you could probably tell that I was a little depressed about the wrestling business in our last interview. It doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be a place where I'm trying to compete with, Impact or WWE or AEW, because that's not really a realistic goal. We've got 95 or so other wrestling companies in Florida. You know what I mean? I need to do what I started doing, and that's wanting my friends to succeed. And I call them my friends. They're, I pay them, but they're still my friends, man. I want them to do good, and I want them to grow, and I want to see them on TV. I was putting a lot of money, and I was putting $5,000 a show just into the venue, just to be there. And I was just things were just. I was doing things from a standpoint as I wanted to prove a whole bunch of people wrong and get this company rich and famous and stuff like that. And taking a step back, I've got a company that's famous. I've got a company that's got a world record. I've got a company that's going to have a second world record in 2024. I do events all over the country. I've seen 179,000 people on the Riverside in Detroit. For instance, when we did the first WrestleMania thing, the one that got closed by COVID, Joey Janela found time to get on Facebook one time and tell me that I was nothing and I was copying GCW, and that, oh, look at this little company and I'm Joey and I sell out 5,000 people venues and blah, 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 blah. And that shit hurt me, man. It was taking it to heart too much. And I take a step back and I realize, like, dude, I do things of 175,000 people, 100,000 people on Belle Isle in Detroit. I'm sorry, 89,000 people on Belle Isle in Detroit. I've done 50,000 people, 60,000 people in Tampa Bay numerous times. I do things all over the country, like huge things. And wrestling is, and I'm sorry that some of you are going to take offense to this, but wrestling is my side job. I call it a job because it is a job, and I do put in work and I do put in time and effort, but like, I don't need to drag, like, I don't need to seek like fame and fortune. Mr. Gomez doesn't need to be a household name because, like, in my other job, Jeremy Gomez is a household name, and Jeremy Gomez helps Jeremy and Candy Gomez help thousands of small business owners all across the country. And we helped people go from tents to brick and mortars to fucking millionaires. We do things. We were in Michigan last week or 2 weeks ago doing one of our festivals, and we're donating like a lot of money and a lot of food to like food pantries and community dinners for homeless and things like that. And it's things that we've been doing now for almost 17 years as promoters in many industries. So it's just, it's not going in this time. It's not about me doing anything for me other than being respectful towards me and my family and being respectful to my company and the people that come out of it. And I have no aspirations greater than that. I just want to put people over and put on good shows. And what I've always told you, I'm in entertainment so that other people can suspend their disbelief of the world that treats us like shit and just comes crashing on us every single day, and all the money and all the problems. And I was starting to forget about that. And that's what I do. That's why I'm in entertainment. So I'm doing that different this time. I know that was a lot, and I know that was a lot to unpack because I talk way too much, but it's just different because it's not about me, and it's not about fame, and it's not about fortune anymore. I need to get back to doing Generation Championship Wrestling like I do Generation Entertainment. And Generation, yes, is a business about making money, but it's a business about making everybody money, not just myself. So, and though we don't make a lot of money at Generation Championship Wrestling, it needs to be about making everybody else something more than without us. And that's what we're doing different. Just more laid back, better. I love my workers. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to go out trying to fly people all over the country to get here. I'm not going to be like spending all my family's money on this wrestling thing, because in the 4 years prior to that, I spent about $300,000 to $400,000 on wrestling. And that's a lot, dude. And there was, I'll tell you what, that will drag your family down. That will make your wife pissed off. That will just, it's not the right way to go. So it's just going to be lighter, more fun. I'm going to utilize more talent from Florida, of which there is tons being utilized, some in good ways, some in wrong ways. And we're just doing things more calmer and more businesslike, and trying to show that everything needs to be done with more calmness and more emphasis on succeeding and more businesslike, and not so much this drama-ridden gatekeeping wrestling scene that we were doing before. Please try to soundbite and unpack all that, please.
Well, of course, like I get you are a walking soundbite, so I love it. It's that's good stuff there.
I'm sorry, I do talk too much sometimes.
No, come on, man. You're giving us a complete picture, and you're leaving little room for interpretation. It just is what it actually is, what you're saying there. Yeah. So I love that.
Thank you.
You said something earlier about potentially not having as robust of a quote unquote women's division, mainly because there's going to be more intergender wrestling. So not that you're going to have less women on the roster, but they're going to be wrestling men just much as they're wrestling each other.
The entire company is intergender now. All the championship belts are all intergender now, as they were before we went or closed, went on retirement, whatever, took a break. We just didn't get to a show that way, but all the championships. Well, I can't say all the championships because one of them is still missing. But so all the championships. Well, the Rex Bacchus Defender of Humanity Championship that Jake Painter has right now in honor of Rex, that's always been intergender and 24/7. The tag belts are intergender now. In fact, coming back, Culture Inc. will be working an intergender match for the belts. So yeah, I don't know what to do with the women's title yet. Honestly, in my mind, the women's title belongs to Aminata. It always has been. I know she dropped it to Heather on like before we called it quits, but I feel like that's hers. I don't know what we want to do with it, but I also feel like Ami could come back and be the world champion like it's nothing. So I don't know. I don't want to separate it anymore, man. Like I said, my girls can go. They deserve the spotlight just like any of the guys do. And it's just why separate them by 5 matches guys and 5 matches girls when it could just be like 10 matches everyone. You know what I mean? It just why the fuck not? If they can go, they can go. You know. So
Do you feel there's an audience for it? Because you know that the pushback is people don't want to see men committing violent acts against women, even in pro wrestling.
Or maybe they don't want to see women kicking the shit out of guys. Maybe it's the fragility of men that just doesn't want to see girls kicking ass. You know, brother? I got to be honest. I come from a Spanish Italian family, man. So I don't think I've ever looked at it as a guy, because every woman in my family will whoop your ass. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to fight no girls, dude. And I have 2 daughters. I don't want to fight them. I definitely don't want to fight my fucking wife, bro. So,
well, your wife would crush you. There's no question.
My ass. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I hate to say this, and I hate to fucking say this, man. But let's be real. It's 2023. The guys aren't beating up girls, man. The girls aren't beating up the guys, man. They're put on a show, and they're trying to tell the story. And like, you guys are gonna have to get over it, man. Like, it's just, please know that no women or men were harmed in the production of these shows, okay? Or they shouldn't be, at least.
Well, I was going to say they shouldn't be, sure.
Like, please, obviously, some people lay their shit in, and you know that's how you fucking work sometimes, stiff. But I guarantee you, my girls can take that. But just please understand that we're not hurting. We're hopefully not hurting each other if we're doing it right. So, but if there's blowback, go.
Is the audience there? Is the audience?
I'm sure the audience is there.
All right, so there's a demand. There are people who want to see this.
And I think nowadays there's more of a demand for that. That if I would have said that 10 years ago, I think people would have tried to come to my house and kill me. You know what I mean? But I definitely think there's a demand for it now. You and me, us old timers, are living in a different world. You know.
Gotcha. I mean, listen, I'm going to be completely frank with you. I don't like to see it. That doesn't mean I haven't seen it and been entertained at times, but personally, I don't like to see it.
I'm not gonna force it either. You know, I'm not gonna be like every match is a girl versus a guy. You know, storyline, man. So it's where it fits.
I think of Suzuki versus Kana, who we know is Asuka, right? You know that match.
That's them, though, bro.
That's them, and they know each other, and you know that might have been a teacher versus student type of situation, but that's one of the stiffest matches I ever saw.
Of course,
and he was full blast slapping her as hard as he has ever slapped any man that I've ever seen.
And she probably told him to.
Yeah, and she was giving it right back, but it was just one of those things where, for me, uncomfortable to see.
Yeah.
So where's the line in what you're going to be presenting?
The line is, guys, we're not a rated R show. We're not a fucking anything, but we're a family show. I mean, don't be fucking stupid. You know, these people are professionals, or at least they're supposed to be professionals. Some of them aren't, but these people are professionals, man. We don't before a show say, go out there and wing it. You know, there's a fight, especially when there was a guy, Robyn's Booker T trained, man. Booker's old school. There was a definite like psychology and theory. Robyn's doing a lot of things right now. That I don't want to interfere with. Obviously, Robyn is welcome to come back at any time and book every match, but I think I've learned enough from watching her to know what I need to get out beforehand. So, look, honestly, they're not going to a match not knowing what's going on. Obviously, we talk to everybody beforehand, like, look, guys, we're telling a story, and the story is not kill the girl, okay? And the story is not kill the guy. It's a fucking story, and dead is not a pretty good story. There has to be ups and downs, and there has to be some pentameter to it, and it has to be a story. You know what I mean? So. Believe me, I'm not going to be out there. Oh, big guy beating the shit out of a fucking girl. You know, there's more to it than that, man. It's not going. And as much as I liked seeing those two work, as you mentioned, that's them two. You know, that's those two. I don't know if that wouldn't be okay with other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you know, I had to ask the question because that's
obviously. And believe me, there are some girls out there that I know that are workers that are like, oh, frick, I want this. I want a death match. I want to frickin' beat the shit out of that guy. I want that. if it fits the story, cool. I don't think that's mostly my kind of stories. I think our stories in Generation Championship Wrestling, I think, have basically always been about the good guys trying to get over on the evil empire. And I think it'll probably stay that way. So if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, you're probably not going to see it, man.
That makes sense.
And again,
That makes sense.
it's not going to be every match guy versus girl for the sake of we're woke. Let's do guy versus girl. If it doesn't fit, it's still, you know what I'm saying?
See, we're talking to Jeremy Gomez, the head honcho over at Generation Championship Wrestling, who is back. They are back for all you folks around the world, but especially down in the Florida area there.
Yeah.
It's time to get the band back together. Some of the best wrestling that you'll see, and really you're going to see stars of tomorrow right there promise. And then, today.
That I can promise. That's what we go for, man. Until the wheels fall off, that's what we go for, dude. I missed putting people over. I do it in my other job, and I missed it in this job. You might not think that Mr. Gomez, the character, likes putting people over, but he does. So, yeah. And I don't know. We might even see a new iteration of Mr. Gomez anyways. I don't know if I'm going to be the same Mr. Gomez. I haven't. I'll tell you, I know what my character will be the second I step back in the ring for the first time. I'll know then. Before that, I don't know what's going on. I have done some bridge mending since last we talked. I have made up with a few people. I have talked things out with a few people like grown-ass men. So there will be some surprises. There will be some people coming back to the company that probably didn't think that it would ever happen. But yeah, we're going to go for fun, man. The Florida wrestling scene is good. The Florida wrestling scene has some issues, as you know, but the Florida wrestling scene is good, and there's a lot of awesome talent. And it always feels like to me that, the powers that be tend to not acknowledge the Florida wrestling scene very much because, hey, Florida, man, you know how it is. But, hopefully I can do something to maybe change that stigma and not add to it going forward. So that's the plan.
The funny part about you, Gomez, is that when I talk to other people who are on the wrestling scene down in Florida in different capacities, whether it be wrestlers or commentators like Styx or hell, even Alan Roulette, River Horse Photography.
Like, oh, hey, I literally told Alan I was going to put him over today. In a good way. Actually, I told him I'm a heel. I'm not going to put him over. But Alan's freaking awesome. You'll see him in February at the show. Please continue.
Awesome. Well, it's funny because it's these guys will say, hey, that Gomez, he'll pull a Shane Douglas when he threw down the NWA title, and he'll let you know how he feels and get on people and cuss them out, especially when he feels like he's been wronged, et cetera, et cetera. But then they always follow up. And this is the interesting part. But he's good business. He pays consistently. He's not a scumbag like a lot of promoters out there that we've dealt with. So you could say whatever you want about Gomez, but I'll do business with him before I'll do business with most other people out there. And Gomez, I got to be honest with you. It's stuff like that is the reason why you always have a place on this show. Because I could have my impression of you just from our personal interactions all day long, but I literally interact with people that you do business with, and there is a consistent theme there. Some days people are going to be more frustrated with you than others, obviously, and vice versa.
A lot of times that's my fault due to my mouth, so I'm aware. Yeah.
But you're good business. Hopefully. And because you're good business, I don't have a problem with having you on the show and telling everybody, this guy's good business. So go out to the show, check out Generation Championship Wrestling. Definitely make sure that you see some of the stars. You're going to see them today and know that eventually you're going to see them on TV, which means that you can get in on the ground level. And I can speak from experience. It's a thrill to be a person that got a chance to see Booker T's first match and then to see who he is today. And he's even been on this show. Brian Danielson, Low Key, Christopher Daniels, a lot of these guys, Scoot Andrews, a lot of these guys, I saw them in the very beginning of their careers. And to be able to follow them through their journey has been incredible. It's something that literally am very proud of. So for anybody out there, especially if you have some young people who are young wrestling fans, to be able to go to a show like Generation Championship Wrestling and to see talents when they're just starting to figure it out and they're starting to get a little comfortable in their skin, knowing that these are the folks who are going to be headlining pay-per-views and what have you in the not too distant future. Come on.
Some of them have already headlined pay-per-view. That's what's crazy for me, man, because it's just last year was just like the first wave of talent that I've helped because they're getting over. But last year was like the first wave when Roxy started hitting, and now when Sky and Generation didn't part on the best of terms. It had a lot to do with her manager and not so much her. But you're still proud of the people who say. And last year was like the first wave of me seeing those people that have come through us that are starting to make it big. So it's exciting for me too, man, because like I see them and I'm like, cool, man. I hope they remember that, once upon a time I gave them all I had, So
Absolutely.
Not that they owe me shit, but it's cool, man.
Here's the other part of it too. A lot of people find their way back somehow, some way. You know what I mean? We just saw the Big Show, Paul White. He just went back to OVW and did commentary and did an appearance there.
Saw, man, hawking them 2-for-1 tickets.
Exactly.
I'm always like, dude, I'm gonna rib on AEW forever, and you know why? Because they're a Florida company. Come on, man.
Yep.
No, but that's awesome, man. Like, to get to go to an OVW show and all of a sudden Big Show. I'm going to say Big Show, and I will always say Big Show.
Sure.
And see him like roll up in, and that would have
20 years later.
Man, that's freaking amazing. You know how much fun I would have had? I would have popped so hard.
So for all you talents who have ever come through Generation Championship Wrestling, there's always a place back home.
I hope so. Like, there's a couple other people that have already talked to me about coming back around and stuff. Mecha Wolf, one of the NWA tag champs, he's a good friend of GCW. He always comes back around. I know I'm going to get some heat for this, but Frank, formerly known as Frank, or what was his name in WWE? Top Dollar. I talked to him the other day. Not everybody's a Frank fan, but like they stay in touch, man, and they say positive things, man, and it's cool to see, man. It's cool to see. It really
Listen,
is.
I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if I ever told this story on the show before about Frank, a.k.a. Top Dollar. AJ
Dollar.
Francis.
I think it's Dollar today. I think
Dollar,
he changed it to Dollar.
Dollar. Here's a guy who, a couple years ago, I get a random message. It is a scout for Biography Networks. And they let me know that, Discovery Networks, and they let me know that they are interested in me doing a screen test to host a show. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm a podcaster. I don't really do on camera. But they said, nope, we want you to do a screen test and send us headshots and yada, 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 because there's a new show that WWE is going to be doing with Discovery Networks called Hidden Treasures. And it's going to be a show, where you go around and you find memorabilia. Yeah. And I said, well, I don't really collect. I'm just I'm a historian, so to speak, because I know wrestling, love it, whatever. But I don't collect. Well, you don't collect, but you have connections and you talk to people and they enjoy you, whatever. Okay, fine. So I went through the process. And I got far enough in the process that Discovery actually selected me to be a host for Hidden Treasures. So their next meeting was with WWE to finalize everything. Well, when WWE saw my reel and everything and pictures and all that, they said, we already have a guy like that. And guess who that guy was? The guy who ends up hosting the damn show, AJ Francis, a.k.a. Top Dollar. Light skin, beard, bald, handsome. He's a lot taller than me. Got a lot more money in his pocket.
That's tall, man. Like, damn, he's a giant, bro.
Well, and I think that's what it came down to. Like, we already got this guy the contract, and he's actually a big deal already. So, but they were looking for something very specific.
Right. Obviously.
They were looking for a person of color with a big personality, but not so big that you're going to turn people away, because it's not about them. It's about the WWE stuff. And I was, I really took that as a compliment, just the fact that they would even consider me for something like that. But it was so interesting to see that's who they chose. And Dollar and I, we talk with each other here and there and what have you, and we laugh about stuff. Great guy, really great guy.
Yeah, I always like
and
that.
They made the right decision. I can say that because that dude is incredible. He's an incredible host. So the fact that you and him are still connected and he still got love for GCW, that makes me feel great. Well, Generation Championship Wrestling, I should say. That makes me feel great because that's the way it should be. So
yeah, he always treated us. Yeah, I knew that he was going to WWE before he actually went and reported and whatnot. He did shows for us, never charged me minimal, like almost nothing, man. Like because he doesn't need the money. He's got NFL money, and it's just, so when he got released, it took me about, I saw the story come out, and within 5 minutes, I had already sent him a message, and it was simply, fucking chin up, dude. And that's all. I said chin up. I said something like, good things are coming for him. But he's one of those people that, like, you don't need to tell him that good things are going to happen because he goes and gets that shit. You know what I'm saying? But I will say that as soon as I saw that he was released, I made sure to send him a text and give him my best and blah blah blah. And, remind him that I'm nothing, but there's always a home for him here. And then we talked the other day, so he might be making a special appearance at one of the shows. Wink, wink. Just saying.
Well, there we go, folks. You hear that? So this is what I'm talking about. These are the types of stars you'll catch.
We're going to Atlanta this year, and I'm doing one of my world's largest food truck rallies in Atlanta. Finally, North Atlanta, Canton. In Canton, Georgia, there is a lovely company called Southern Honor Wrestling that is run by my buddy Gary, and so we decided that we're going to do a joint show with them eventually. So I might be saving a couple of these names for Atlanta. Wink, wink. You heard it here.
Wow, that's breaking news right there. Yeah. I love that. That's breaking news.
We're gonna have fun, man. That's it's gonna be a good old Georgia, Florida wrestling. If you ever seen Heels, and they've got that whole Georgia coming into wrestling dystopia, and there's these giant fans in Florida, blah, 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 blah. It's actually the opposite of that in the real world. When you go to Georgia, there's freaking giant fans everywhere. When you come to Florida, it's a little harder to draw because we've got a million companies. So that's the plan. We're going to be this little company going into Georgia wrestling, especially named, I'll say it one time, GCW, going into Georgia when damn well Georgia Championship Wrestling's from there. So
tell them.
It'll be fun.
Give them the history lesson.
Oh, the history lesson is that, yes, GCW was actually a thing before me, before Glasgow Championship Wrestling, before Global Championship Wrestling, and before Game Changer Wrestling. It was Georgia Championship Wrestling. So
that's right.
Remember, haters, if I'm stealing anyone's acronym, it's Georgia Championship Wrestling. Thank you.
I love it. Why don't you let everybody know the best way that they can keep up and make sure that they're aware so they can come out and check out a show, or are we going to get any streaming going on? Is going to be?
I haven't actually talked to. I haven't talked to Title Match again since I said we used to do everything with Title Match, and I love those guys. They've always. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go back to Title Match or if I'm going to do it myself because I have all the equipment. I don't know if I want the stress involved in it. So it'll be streamed or live on our YouTube page for free afterwards or something somehow. I'd rather more people see it. So whatever gets more people to see it, I think I need to put it on my YouTube pages because we're like inches away from monetizing it.
Sure.
And I just stopped. I stopped with inches away from monetization 2 years ago. So we're like right on the cusp. So probably do that. It might be on our Facebook pages. I've been verified and monetized like on all my companies this year on Facebook too. So they actually pay me now. So it'll be what's best for business and what gets it out to more people. And I know I don't want to charge people to watch the shows. I'll charge some people. In fact, the first 2 shows back for us are free. You can come see them for free because they're at my festivals, which are also free. So I'm not into charging people yet to see the shows because I'm not wasting $5,000 at a time on a venue anymore. So I'm not losing money. I'm really wrapping my head back around it again, man. It's been crazy, but yeah, you can find us at GCW Wrestling Pro pretty much everywhere at GCW Wrestling Pro, or just type Generation Championship Wrestling into Google and that'll bring up everything.
Great stuff there from Jeremy Gomez. Generation Championship Wrestling is back, baby. And I, for one, am excited about it. I mean, once again, you're talking about some of the most structured and insightful women's wrestling to come around over the past couple of years. So the fact that, after taking a short break, they're going to be back in action, building up some new stars, especially some folks who are already down there in Florida. That's exciting. That's exciting stuff there, and I can't wait to see what happens next with Generation Championship Wrestling. That's right. Now, speaking of GCW, our friend Raj Giri, formerly of Wrestling Inc., he sold that company. He had some choice words for Joey Janela, and he called him Jelly Janela. He offered him to compare bank accounts. So that's an interesting way to do things there. Listen, I'm not a big fan of wrestling media cussing and carrying on with wrestlers. I think it's not worth anybody's time. But certainly if Janela had provoked Raj to the point where he had to step out of character, it is what it is. And, Janela, I'm not a fan of his. One of the most ridiculous things I ever saw was Janela, as soon as he was out of AEW, he wants to call the company out for not doing enough with Sonny Kiss. Yet, where were you when you were under contract with AEW? What were you doing for Sonny Kiss then? Clearly, it wasn't enough because Sonny Kiss was essentially buried in that company. But that's another story for another day. Anyway, shout out to Raj. Shout out to Jelly Janela, Joey Janela, whatever he calls himself today. Mud show wrestler, whatever. Anyway, a lot of interesting things going on in wrestling. I mean, congratulations to the NWA. They just got a deal with the CW. So they are going to follow in the footsteps of WOW Women of Wrestling and currently WWE with having complete penetration in the marketplace in terms of television in the United States of America. SmackDown is currently on Fox, and it will be through October of 2024. At that point, it will switch over and go back to the USA Network on Mondays, mind you. So SmackDown is going to replace Raw on USA. Monday Night SmackDown is what that's going to be in late 2024, about a year away. But until then, WWE has 100% penetration on television. WOW Women of Wrestling has 100% penetration on television because they're on the CBS networks. So CBS, My Network TV, CW, Vice, they're on all that stuff. CBS, Viacom, if they own it, there's a good chance you can find WOW Women of Wrestling on one of their networks week to week, which is awesome. It's why, WOW often does better than the AEW shows in terms of gathering and building an audience. WOW is also profitable, which is why I still say they're the number 2 promotion in North America. It's hard to argue that. AEW hasn't turned a profit yet. So, again, but the NWA, they're stepping in to where WOW and WWE are. They're going to be on CW in 2024. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Friend of the show, EC3, he's their current champion. But a lot of promise, a lot of exciting things happening. And if the NWA and WOW can get television deals like that, AEW, why are we still waiting for you to announce a new deal? Why haven't you closed a new deal? It's a question. It's a question that deserves an answer. Now, I know that a lot of these networks are waiting for what's happening with the NBA and also NASCAR to take shape, right? The NBA, their television rights deals, they can start negotiating come April of 2024. They can't negotiate before then. So are networks holding off on signing any major deals because they want to see what happens with the NWA? At least networks that feel that they stand a chance of getting some NBA programming on their networks. Certainly Warner Brothers Discovery, they have NBA content. TNT, TBS, they have NBA content. Traditionally, they've had NBA content. So if they're trying to expand on that or what have you, then maybe they're not going to make any rash decisions or big deals before then. They also are kicking the tires on NASCAR. They have some programming, if I'm not mistaken, but they're looking to gather a lot more. So where does that leave AEW? AEW could be in a good position if Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't get much NBA content. If they still want to roll with sports, AEW might be the way to go because that's sports entertainment, right? But if they do get a good chunk of NBA, you can bet your bottom dollar that AEW does not have a home with Warner Brothers Discovery anymore. That's my prediction. Because it's not like they're going to pay them $100+ million to be on their network. Why would they do that if they're just going to shell out way more than that to the NBA? So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of Raw, WWE Raw, what night of the week is that going to be on, and what network is going to get Raw? I still believe Amazon has a shot, and I'm talking the streaming service. It makes sense. So I could see that happening, but I could also see a situation where the USA Network finds a way to pony up the money and keeps Raw, but just puts them on a different night. So that'll be exciting if that happens too, right? So the point is that there is some uncertainty within the wrestling industry, especially the big time companies, but there's also some opportunity. So if you're a wrestler right now, follow the money, be smart, be careful, don't be doing anything foolish. If you have a contract, certainly don't do anything to cause you to not have the contract anymore, because I think this is it. In terms of big money deals and what have you, it's either going to happen now or we probably won't see them again for a while. And there's a possibility that some of these companies actually may go under. So just be smart about it. That's all I'll say to that. Anyway, Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on Twitter, DukeLovesRasslin@gmail.com. As always, let me know what you think. We have some exciting episodes coming up. My man Reed is going to be back, and he's going to be breaking down what happened in that fight between Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. So that'll be interesting. We also have Brad Shepard. Oh my goodness. He has been banned from X, aka Twitter. So Brad's going to open up about what the hell happened there. That's going to be wild. Rob the Genius will be back, giving us an update on women on television in terms of women's wrestling. So always fun when Rob comes on and goes over the numbers. And we'll do a special on Invicta FC, the all-women's MMA promotion. They were just in Boston. Fantastic night of mixed martial arts. Loved it. So the well-respected Lavelle Porter, Invicta FC president Shannon Knapp, and maybe a couple of fighters will be on the show, and we'll do a nice recap of that night. So all good stuff there. Until then, as always, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Thank you, Jeremy Gomez. Thank you, wonderful listeners. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.